to the comment box. Both Facebook and YouTube should have those available. You guys know the drill. We're going to be looking at some stocks. We're going to be looking at some trades. You can also look, and you know what? We're going to go ahead and I'll get us started off with just a scan of some uptrends that we're going to look at first while we get some of your tickers coming in. But I want to prioritize the trades that you want to look at. So go ahead and start entering those in the comment box, and as they come up, we'll start going through them. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. So like I mentioned, it's been a wild week, all right? So the one thing is earnings season is behind us now. So that's good. We don't have to worry about too many of those anymore. But of course, like everyone is aware, it's been election week, right? And numbers are still up in the air. You know, which direction is Congress going to go? It's still unsure. One thing that is kind of interesting historically, little lesson right here, is that a split Congress oftentimes creates bullish market environments. And the reason for that is because there's a reduced legislation risk. There's all types of risk out there, and the government is one of them with the rules that they can pass. If you have a split Congress and this side and this side can't agree on anything and nothing actually gets done, that means that not much is going to change. That means that the risk of different rules being passed is a lot lower, and the market usually jumps at that. So still have to see what happens where the election lands and everything, but that could, if it does turn into split Congress, that could help push things more towards the bullish section or direction, I should say. Now you can see from the chart here, let me get a quick refresh if I can find my mouse. There it is. So you can see that we are up today. In fact, that was a big gap up. Look at that. We closed yesterday about 37.45, somewhere in there. We opened up today at 38.60. More than 100-point increase overnight here. And so what is one of the big things that's happening today? We also had the CPI report come out. This is essentially a report on inflation. And the report, I'll just give it to you, the quick version. It wasn't as bad as what they thought it would be. So that's really good news for the market. So you see this big jump up and this move up. It moved up quite a bit. It's already started pulling back a little bit, kind of to be expected. It's not going to go all the way up to the 200 simple today. So, but pullbacks are okay because that gives us opportunities. Let's go and throw a line on here that we might be looking at. Let's try that. The former uptrend line that I had, the uptrend support line right here, we were kind of testing out to see, is that going to be the line or not? That was demolished by this big candlestick down today, on that day. And then had to wait for more information. This line might be good right here. We'll just have to wait and see. Now, obviously, a big gap up and a race up like that doesn't really, there was no buy point in there, right? That makes it really challenging. So we might have to wait and see what happens. Can it maybe push a little higher and then pull back down and put in another bounce? If it does, we could be in good shape again for some bullish moves up, at least to the 200 simple, and to see what happens there. So that's something to be keeping an eye out for. But there are still charts out there, just like we looked at last week. There are still charts out there that are just doing their own thing. We're going to see if we can find a few of those, see if we can find some charts that aren't really swayed by the craziness of what's going on with the CPI report, the election, all this stuff, right? So again, go ahead and get your tickers in the comment box, because I want to be looking at the trades that you want to look at as well. One last thing I want to mention before we go looking at tickers. It can be hard as a trader, but it is perfectly okay to sit on the sidelines. Patience is a position. And this is, I know we want to look at tickers, we want to look at trades, we're going to get there, but this is like an opportune coaching moment right here. It is perfectly okay to say, you know what, there's a whole lot going on this week. The market's wild. Yesterday it was down a lot, and then it gapped over 100 points up. Like, things are just crazy right now, right? So it is okay to be on the sidelines if we don't have a good edge. But while you're on the sidelines, as far as the market is concerned, continue learning. Maybe continue paper trading. try out some new things. Keep your money safe, but keep learning however which way you can. So I think that's very important to talk about. All right, while we wait for a few of your tickers to come in, we're going to go ahead and take a look at a scan here. You guys have seen me do this before. We might make this a regular thing right here. We come to the scans, we're going to look at Outlook, and we're going to look at bullish, because it looks like in the short term, at least, the market wants to be a little more bullish than bearish. I know last week it was kind of up in the air, but what we're seeing right now, okay, yeah, we might be in for a little bit of a bullish run, at least up to that 200 simple. So let's take a look at bullish scans, and there's a ton in here. I get it. I like to look for chart pattern rising channel. That's just fancy for uptrend. So we're going to click on that, and we're going to go ahead and grab all of these guys. So I'm going to select symbols. See, all of them are selected now, and we're going to send them to my pre-made uptrends list. And now I'd already cleared out the old tickers from last week, so we're going to add these to the uptrends. And now we're going to go ahead and look at the chart, and there it is, uptrends, and you can see all the tickers there. Now, some of them are going to be pretty charts, and those are the ones we want to keep. And some of them, they might be uptrending, but they just might not be that pretty. Just not something that we want to work with. And we can just get rid of those. It's all good. There's 48 in here. We don't need that many. We can get this down to, we may not have time to do all this today, but if we can get it down to like 10 to be looking at for the next week, great. That's what we want. So let's just start from the top and see what we do, or what we got here. LLY. Okay, you can see we put a line on here last time, and that's still kind of holding. I like this chart, actually. It's been moving up nicely, and it looks like it has made a good move up and is starting to taper off, right? If this thing can continue just moving sideways or come down a little bit and put in a bounce either off our line or the 20 EMA, that would be one to consider. So I'm going to keep that one on the list because I like that. ABBV. Ooh, I don't see lines on here. I'm not sure if we looked at this one before. Let's try. The lines might not be the prettiest. There's a couple things going on here, right? I can't get the greatest line. I would have liked to have my support line from here, but that may not work as well. The line that I drew may not be the best. You can see this horizontal support, so I can put that on there. But one of the things that stands out to me as well is we have this lower high. And I don't like that as much. I want to see nice clean uptrend, higher highs, higher lows. This, while it has been moving up in the last few weeks, it is not that clean, right? So I think I'm just going to get rid of it. All right, NVO is our next one. Let's take a look at this one. So NVO, you can put a line, oops, right about there. It's pretty extended, though. It's pretty extended from our line. This was a nice gap up and move up from there. So there's opportunities there if you know what to do with that. Look at this line right here. Go right about there. You can see this overhead resistance line, pretty strong. We could keep this one on the chart. It's just kind of like trader's choice, if you will. But there's a couple things going on here. I got this overhead resistance, and that's where we are. It's right up near that resistance level. We wouldn't want this thing to come back and bounce either off this line or off an EMA. The last good EMA bounce was down here at the 20-day. So this thing needs to really pull back and give us another opportunity. Now, if it pulls back pretty shallowly, once it bounces, how much more room does it have to move up? So I might take this one off the list, actually, for me personally, because there's just not there's a lot that this thing needs to do before I get excited about it. So, wow, look at this, a few months ago, earnings right here. That thing tanked. That's crazy. All right, MRK, let's take a look at this one. MRK, that one usually is pretty nice uptrend. Same here, too. Look at this. This produced, when were we looking at this last? This day right here, November 6th. Okay, so on this day, on the 6th, on that Monday, that was a really nice buy point, actually. Now, that might have been tough to get into a trade that day, right? Because you know, it's the day before the election. You got the CPI report coming out later. I mean, I would totally get it if someone was like, oof, so much going on though. But just from the chart perspective, right? Look, we got 1, 2, 3. This was the fourth touch on this line, moved up beautifully. And it continued up, right? Even yesterday, it was up quite a bit. You could have maybe taken profits before it came back down. It's pulled back some now. I really like this to be on the chart because what if it puts in another bounce, right? It's pulled back. Maybe tomorrow it comes back down and bounces, you know, kind of kisses this line and bounces up again. It could put in another buy point. So actually, let's try this, right? Let's take this and let's see what could we do trade-wise with this. You know, you've got your step one stock trade. You know, of course, you could be looking at buying some shares, but you know, it's about $100 a share, so that can be a bit expensive. So what are some things that we can do to kind of leverage a little bit? We can use options. Let's go ahead and take a look at a credit spread. All right, and I'm gonna see if we can get a credit spread where the short strike is below this last pivot right here, right? It might pivot, you know, come back down and then move up. And if it does, you can see there's a pivot. There would be a pivot right there around the $100 mark. I don't think I would want to put the short strike so close though to the price. I would want to give it some breathing room. I like below this next to last pivot, and then you've got the 20-day exponential moving average as protection as well. Let's see what we can create. All right, so I like to go about a month out on credit spreads. December 16th, that's monthly expiration. We'll choose that one right there. And they have 97.50 as a short, as strike prices, so 2.5 wide. So we could do that. We could sell the 97.50 put, and we could buy the 95. Oh, what did I? You know, I did this wrong. My bad. This is okay. This is a good learning moment right here. I just clicked the wrong buttons. Uh-oh. I knew that didn't look right. What happened? Just come up here, click the X. It'll clear it out. Now I can click the right button, sell that, and buy that. That looks a little bit better. So if we were to do that, then we have the opportunity to make potentially $61 for every $189 that we risk. So you're looking at a really decent ROI potential. I believe that's about 30%, somewhere in that range. So what does this look like on the chart? Let's draw this out. So I like to grab a rectangle and 97.50. So right about there, perfect, and 95. And we're going to be pulling this thing all the way out to as far as I don't think we can quite, what was it, December 16th? Yeah, we can get there. There it is. That would be what our trade would look like. This would be pretty nice. Now, again, this is not ready right now, in my opinion. I would want to see this thing pull back down to the uptrending support line and then bounce from there. That's what I would like to see. This is not a buy point yet as far as I'm concerned. But here we have a potential trade that is, you know, it could be a good one to look at, or at least paper trade. You know, if you're not ready for real trade yet, if you're like, you know, I heard you, what you said at the beginning, I'm sitting on the sidelines. Great. Let's go ahead and paper trade this, you know? So we can look at that. Now, let me pull it up here. I want to show you something that we can do as well. We're going to come here again, sell that one, buy that one. Okay, here we go. Here's our trade again, right? Now, what if I want to save this, right? What if I want to save this? You can actually go hit the trade button and it pulls up the order ticket. Instead of reviewing it and moving on, we can just hit stage. So if we stage that, now it says staged. You actually down here, you've got all these tabs. You've got a staged orders tab. And now that order is simply staged right there. It is saved for you for later. So you come back to it in a couple of days, you see a buy point you like, and you're ready to go. You can actually come here and hit this play sign or trade. It'll bring the order ticket up again. You might just have to adjust the limit price or something like that. And then you can hit go right there. So I'm going to leave that in our saved staged orders folder for later on. All right. Well, guys, you guys are quiet ones today. Haven't seen any tickers that you guys have posted, but that's okay because we've got some good ones here. MRK, again, I really like this one, what it could potentially do. Hopefully it does pull back for us. We'll look at one more here before we wrap up, and then we'll take a look at the overall market. All right, Caterpillar. You can see I put this line on here before, but man, this thing is just running away, right? Look at this, though. Previous, let's get a bigger time frame. Let's see what we can see. Okay. So this resistance is not like I like it when it's a nice line, but you kind of have a couple areas, more like a zone of resistance here. And it's up at that zone of resistance, right? It's near these previous highs right here. So I wouldn't want to get bullish on this thing right now. You know, there's a better chance that this pulls back just like it did here and here and here. It's a better chance that it pulls back rather than continuing to rock it up. So, all right. All right, I see one here. Jody wants to look at Google. Let's take a look at Google. Yeah, Google. So this one's been coming down quite a bit, right? Moved up the last few days. So then the question is, what's it going to do from here? The 20-day was resistance there. Was resistance there. It did break through it the last time. Now we're right up at that 20-day again. So I would want to see where it closes. If it closes at or below the 20-day and then tomorrow starts to move down, you might have some opportunities to the downside on Google. So good one to keep an eye on there. It might move up to the 50 again. Last time it failed at the 50. So if it moves up, then that's okay. Watch it. Maybe it gets to the 50 and pushes down after that. And then there might be opportunities as well. All right, guys. Well, one last quick look at the S&P. You know, it's right about where we left it, but, you know, it's usually a pretty quick 15, 20 minutes here. I want to let you guys know about an opportunity we've got coming up next week, Thursday. It's actually going to take place right before live trading Thursday. I'm going to put it in the comment box right here. It is an intro to Tradier webinar. And so we're going to have our friends from Tradier come and present on their company, the broker that we recommend. And we love Tradier for a number of reasons. But one of those reasons, they tie in and link to Charts by Tradeway very well. I'll leave all those other reasons for the webinar. Go ahead and click that link right there, and you can join that free webinar. Next Thursday will be 11 a.m. Central Time. And pretty much right after that webinar, you can join me back here live again for Live Trading Thursday. So I'm looking forward to that, guys. Thanks for being on. Thanks, Jody, for entering your ticker. Really appreciate that. And we'll see you guys later.